Welcome to another All 22 Tuesday, a collaboration between FirstDown PlayBook and USA Football. I'm Keith Grabowski, the host of the Coaching Coordinator podcast, and I'm joined by the CEO and founder, former NFL coach of FirstDown PlayBook, Charlie Coiner. Charlie, another Tuesday, some more plays. I'm excited to get going today.
Yeah, Keith, me too. Great to be here. I think we got a lot to look at today.
And as always, we're joined by Zach Dunn, who is the content coordinator at USA Football and an analyst himself. Zach, we're going to get right into it here. Good to have you back.
Yeah, Keith, can't wait.
All right, guys, so first play here, I'll set it up. We've got Wake Forest against Florida State. And, you know, looking at this play just right here in the diagram, it doesn't appear there's anything special to be going on. But I'll tell you, it is pretty unique what these guys are doing over at Wake Forest. We talked about it on the Trends Day podcast and some of the things that I was able to study here in the last week, and picked up another one and just something a little bit different than what we normally see in a zone read. So we see that it's 11 personnel. We have 86, the tight end here on the left, and they're running on a short yardage play here. I believe it's third and short in this situation. Now, what we have pre-snap is 23, the safety, kind of creeping up to the edge right there, and the quarterback definitely notices him because as he's handing the ball off, you know that he doesn't have to really read anybody on 86 side on the left side of this play because they have the extra guy there. They're going to get everybody blocked up, except the worry is 23 coming off the edge. Now, quarterback typically can't read that guy, but you're going to see when we go to the video here, he's actually, as he's handing off and working the mesh, he has his head turned so he can see essentially over his shoulder here. And after he gives, he's just going to shield the guy off like a basketball player going for a rebound and get him blocked. And I've seen this a few times as I've studied the Wake Forest offense. That is just something that's part of what they do. Again, it's a little bit unorthodox, something we don't usually see, but you're going to be able to see exactly that here as we roll the video.
Keith, I had to laugh when I first saw this because having worked with Jim McNally at the Bills and knowing Jim, a long time before that, I'm looking at the quarterback here, and you had described it to me, and then I'm looking at the tight end on the left, and I'm going like, the old butt block has made a reoccurrence.
That's exactly it there.
Yeah,
both guys.
Yeah, I said they're butt blocking on the edges on both sides, and this play is the deceptive thing about it is you were talking about it last week, and I had to go back and look more about it. It's slow. But make no mistake about it, it's physical at the point of contact. I mean, they're getting a double. They're getting a double on the, I think either the 2 technique or the 3 there, and there's movement on the inside. But it takes a while to get this thing to the line of scrimmage.
Right, and I think with what we've seen, Wake is definitely making level 1 a priority. They are so patient in really building, a wall right there, and then showing that running back exactly where the hole is. That they're not. You see some teams when they double that guy will put a hand in and climb up to level 2 and get his guy. I mean, watch the time that he's spending here with the center on that block. Before that becomes his, and then the center is free to climb if he needs to. They just drive everything up here.
Right, and if you're an offensive line coach, that's a dream, meaning that, you're always, if you're teaching any kind of zone block, you're looking for that perfect timing of when do I come off second level. And if you can get a football play, particularly in this situation right here where, second and short or third and short, and they can tell you, like, just stay on that first level. Get movement, put that, put the defensive lineman in the linebacker's lap, then you're all about that. But once again, with the pace that is coming inside, and this is, when you watch it, it's part zone, it's part dive, it's part this creation thing that you've been talking about. But the key is on the edge, it's so slow that if you don't do what the quarterback and tight end are doing there, then this safety coming down or the edge guy at the top, they might actually get their hand on the back and trip him up before he gets to the line of scrimmage.
And they don't necessarily make a living out of running every single play like this, but this is a short yardage, everything blocked up. And again, I'd say that pre-snap, that quarterback was well aware that I got an extra guy coming on the edge that I have to account for. I'm going to have to shield him off from the mesh. And you see it still slow here. He does not hurry himself. It's that typical shuffle, kind of walk up into the line of scrimmage and then let it go.
Yeah, I'm glad that we got a chance. Like I said, we talked about it last week on Wednesday. I'm glad we got to visually put it out there. But the other thing to notice is this is the second play in the game, period, right? And so Wake Forest didn't. I don't believe they majored in this quite as much against Florida State because Florida State closed the middle of the field, and this quarterback just ate them alive against man coverage. And so this Wake Forest team is good. I mean, Louisville got them, but other than that, they've I don't know, was it 5-1, 6-1, or something like that right now?
Yeah, they're doing a great job. Last I checked, they were number 4 in the country in offense, and they continue to get it done. And I'm excited to watch these guys continue throughout their season. Some interesting things they're doing there, and definitely a team you want to be able to see play at least one time. Let's take a look at our next play. This next play here, we have Alabama, and this is, your typical double post. Again, they're going to get somebody blocking the backside edge. You see that they come out with an overlook, tight end overlook here, and unbalanced. And what's interesting to me is that the ball handling that you're going to see from the quarterback here. These guys are in pistol, and he catches the snap and essentially reverses out. Now, they did this earlier. It might have been a play or two before this where I think they ran like a counter or a power. I don't remember exactly which one. But, again, the quarterback caught the ball, reversed out, handed it to the running back. Now, when you think about, that kind of footwork, you typically see that on the line of scrimmage, quarterback under center. But this is – to me, and Charlie, it was, I think you and I talked for the very first time because this is stuff we were doing when I was at BW, but the reverse out footwork now kind of takes you into that world of being under center a little bit and getting your back turned to the defense and hiding the football, which is one of the advantages of being in, a one back or an I formation under center. And essentially my thought on this is that, it kind of gives that power of deception back to the quarterback, as well as the downhill run action that's going to draw linebackers up and, give these routes just enough to get loose. I mean, at this level here, Alabama, number 1, can make anything look good. But, all they need is a guy who keys on that run for a split second longer, and they get the leverage they need to beat somebody.
Yeah, when I looking at this, Keith, you can't tell what the routes are. We just got to assume it's double post or end post or something like that. But the thing that jumped out at me as I looked at it, Tua is his footwork so fast on this. I mean, it's almost like a spinner play, and on particularly some of the run stuff. I'm not sure if y'all did it that fast or not, but yeah, I don't know what the secondary saw here, but there is somebody running scot-free at number 11 anyway. So
that's exactly, as we go to the video here, that's exactly what I would tell our quarterbacks, that we were just turning the old spinner fullbacks from the single wing, and you get that effect of it because again, the ball disappears from the defense.
You can just look at the linebackers, particularly the play side linebacker 35. He's over the line of scrimmage before he realizes what's going on. I mean, that's pretty good. Now, he's hugging up on that back too, but
yeah, and you're pulling a guard there, which is always good for play action. I think it's exactly the kind of stuff we would see when we were running this when I was at BW is really any kind of level 2 guy who had any eyes in the backfield when we were doing this was taking his steps and running up in there. And even a lot of times, teams that wanted to play the quarter safeties and get those guys down into the box on a run read, we'd be able to move those guys as well and have guys running open. So I think it's very effective, and it's something definitely we will talk about on our Wednesday Trends Day podcast. I think it becomes a trend just because Alabama did it.
And Keith, no doubt. And you coach this. The one, as you look at it, Tua's launch point is he gets to 10, hitches back up to about 8. But, I mean, did you, and when we never did this out of the pistol like you guys, but you would run this, chili action is what we used to call it back a million years ago, under center. And it was so important, guys like John Shoup and Steve Fairchild and guys I work with, just the timing, that ball had to be out. I look here and Tua can't do it much quicker, but yet it's hard for him to catch up with that route. I mean, was that a big deal when you were in the pistol as far as just making sure that ball can get out in time? Because, he's kind of late, to be honest, but the guy's got him beat so bad.
Yeah, I would say, typically what we would try to do is rhythm it and try to get that quarterback to really get the ball out on his plant step if he could and run routes like that. And our guys were slower than the Alabama guys, so.
Yeah.
So, again, I think it's something that's effective. If you are a team that wants to be in the pistol, I think it's worth looking at this. Now, I could say this. We did not make this change mid-season. It's something we installed in the spring into what we were doing. Initially we were just open to wherever the back was and fake. So it does take some timing. It does take a little bit of work and rhythm for the footwork that goes along with the back. And this is typically what we would do on a lot of our runs, is that drop step to time things up. So it's different than, running an RPO or something like that. But, I had a question on Twitter the other day, can you do that and run RPOs? And I'm like, really the answer is yes, but it's all about, practice time. And we would work our meshes. We would work our reads, all those kinds of things every single day with those quarterbacks and running backs.
Did you run any boot action out of this, Keith?
We ran a ton of naked, Charlie, and I've got some clips on my own personal YouTube channel that you can't believe how wrong we are making defenders. Because, what we would do is we would just call a run, and we really would make it off of any run. So I might call, power left, naked right. And our line would know when they heard the naked, they know like, okay, I got to be a little bit aware of getting downfield too far. But, typically I told them, don't worry about that kind of stuff. You guys go low hat, block like it's run, and we'll sell it that way. And, the combination of that, the ball handling, and, great fakes by the back. The back was never to abort a fake. His job was always to, go through, eyes up, rocking the baby as he's coming through the line and cut away from anybody who's looking at him. And, it's very effective. We get a lot of guys just chasing that running back.
So just so I'll understand, this would be your action if you were booting to the quarterback's right?
On this particular one, we would boot to the left. Now, of course, we'd be blocking it differently. Right. But the big thing, if you pause it right there on the top, and we would carry it back 2 steps like this, Charlie, and you think about this, like, who are you really trying to shield the ball from? Well, it's that backside end. So we'd get a lot where we'd leave that guy alone or we'd chip him. And, I mean, he's seeing him run and he's chasing down into here. And I've got examples where he chases up through the line of scrimmage, chasing the back and the quarterback's out on that edge that he just left.
That'd be very different. Look just for the linebackers and nobody else. It's almost like part play action, part boot.
Exactly. Let's go ahead and move on to our next play here.
All right, Keith, I'll go ahead and take this play. So this is a very interesting play that Sean Payton dialed up this past weekend for the Saints. It's actually a play I've seen him run quite a bit before, but essentially it's a fullback speed option, which is very not conventional. I mean, it's very weird, and you don't see it a whole lot, but he's actually ran it quite a bit. So it starts off looking like fullback belly weak, but as you can see right here, the fullback's going to pitch off that defensive end. And, I believe that personally, I believe that they're reading this, but that end's going to crash like 90% of the time. So this is always going to be a pitch. But it's a very, very unique play here, and I'll get to the video here so you can see it. First of all, they're in gun near, or not gun near, they're in eye near. So here the ends up blocked, pitch it to Taysom Hill, their gadget back. See, they're selling fullback belly, pitching off the end. They do not have a pitch player out there.
I thought some interesting things about this, Zach, is that as you look at it and run it back, first of all, just hats off to Carmichael and Peyton and everybody on the offensive side there. I mean, they've gone 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater, who is a fantastic quarterback himself. If he hadn't got hurt, would still be at Minnesota, probably one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But obviously an incredible job anytime you lose Drew Brees and you go 5-0. But as I was looking at this too, and I don't know a lot about Taysom Hill, but I started looking, I'm going, who is this cat? And I started going, why is the Chicago defense so confused right now? Why can't they get lined up? Well, just freeze it before the ball snapped. And, you sit there and you got to look at that if you're the Chicago Bears and go, okay, that's a quarterback lined up back there. What if Bridgewater motions out to the right or the left? You got your quarterback sitting back there in gun. You got your whole new set of things to worry about. Obviously, they're trying to figure out strength here. Where do we want to call this thing? And then they've got it. You notice that they're going to run this play, and they're running it at 94, not at Khalil Mack. Excuse me. I mean, the things that you always want to go to that naked thing that we're just talking about. There were always defensive ends in the NFL or outside backers in the NFL that you did not make it to them because they had a way of making you look really silly. And so they find a way to make sure they go away from the Pro Bowler here. And so I just was this and the other play that's going to come up here in a second, just impressed that, don't just say we can't do this and can't do that. Let's find a way to get creative. And, Chicago Bears is a good football team too, but they whipped them pretty good on Sunday.
Yeah, something that I'd add is I got to work with the Vikings quite a bit this summer, and I still do some work with them right now. And one thing that they talked about immediately when I was up there with them was how when it comes to playing the Saints and charting them and game planning for them is their personnel groupings are absolutely wild. I mean, like, how do you label Hill? Do you label him a back? Do you label him a tight end? Do you label him a receiver? Something that Michael Lombardi talked about back probably about a year ago that I took note of was he said that he thinks the future in the NFL and big-time college football is going to be – you're going to see a lot of two quarterback packages where a guy like Taysom Hill is going to be on the field. And you can do a lot of things off that. You can run a jet sweep boot pass. I mean, you can do a whole load of stuff with quarterbacks on the field when, you have a typical drop back one. Then you also have a guy like Taysom Hill or a Jalen Hurts who can run it, but also has an arm and can actually throw the ball too. I mean, you could do a million things with this guy. And obviously this is something that they saw game plan wise that, hey, if we go eye near, they're probably not going to have a pitch player week. So let's run fullback belly option at that end.
I was being pretty critical as I was watching this of the corner out here, and he is soft. I mean, he's, at some point he's got to come up and make a play. But what you're saying, Zach's exactly right. Freeze it right there. You better not come up too soon.
That's exactly it. I'm sure you'll see that out of the Saints this year at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, people were going nuts about this play, but actually, this is the play that Sean Payton ran for a few years now with the fullback, even before he had Taysom Hill to even pitch the ball to. But like you guys said, this could be setting something up next week where, next week they're going to give this and they're going to throw a halfback pass off of it. I mean, it's crazy. Sean Payton's one of the best minds of football.
Yeah, run it back one more time to the wide copy, please. Okay, yeah.
But like you were saying, I mean, they're having trouble aligning, so I'm sure this came off tempo, if I had to guess. So, this was a 3rd and 1 play. They tempoed it. The Bears weren't lined correctly. I mean, how do you label Taysom Hill? I mean, he's technically a quarterback, but he's lined up as a running back here. So I screwed a lot of people up. Then we'll go to the next one right here. And this play right here is a play that I first saw the Patriots run against the Falcons on the 2-point play in the Super Bowl in 2016. It's a bunch play where they'll throw the screen to a guy in the bunch, and it'll kind of be like a shield, like a shield screen. He'll catch it and just hit it quick, 2 yards. Something that hits quick is a great short yardage play. As you see, they ran it down on the goal line here. It's easier to look at the film and see it. This is a play that the Patriots run a lot now, but I first saw it in 2016 with them. Throw it to him, shield immediately, get in the end zone.
Well, the problem is reoccurring from the last play. They've got a problem personnel right here where go all the way back to the beginning. I mean, I don't know if it's they don't understand how they want to treat Hill or but just pure numbers, and they're bringing heat off of this edge over here. Somebody better get over there in a hurry, and they don't in time. I mean, this backside safety has got to get over there, all right? Or the backside linebacker one. I got a feeling this is backside safety, because if he doesn't, this is no small guy. This Hill kid. So when he catches it, he's going downhill.
Exactly.
No pun intended. Then you don't have a whole lot of chance to tackle him for less than a 4-yard gain.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one thing that's nice about running this little play out of bunch right here is anytime you get in a bunch like this, you're never going to get all 3 guys, all 3 defenders up there pressed up on the line because they don't want to get picked. So you're generally going to have pretty much almost gimme yards right there when you throw that, because you're going to have one guy probably pressed on the point, then you're going to have 2 guys off. So, I mean, you're generally, if you can get one block, like the point man gets right there, you're going to be in good shape to get a few yards.
Yeah, I think you mentioned this, Charlie, maybe a few weeks ago. I mean, you can run your dive play inside where the box is loaded, or you can run your dive play out here.
Yep.
Now, that's going to take a lot more work on, watch how fast – look at the footwork from Bridgewater. I mean, that ball is out now. Look at the footwork from Hill, right? I mean, he catches and he's driving off that leg that's back right into the end zone. There's no hesitation there. I mean, it literally turns into a dive play out on the edge. But there's a lot of mechanics that go along with it.
One thing I'll say that I like that the Patriots do this better is the Patriots almost always run this play to the left. So, Brady's not having to, there's not a whole lot of footwork there with flipping the hips. It's, pull out, throw now. These are here. That's kind of some waste of time, honestly. When the Patriots run this play, it's, right there.
Agreed. I agree with you, Zach.
Well, I mean, granted, Sean Payton's one of the smartest offensive minds in the last 2 or 3 decades, so I'm not about to question him. But
I just want to point out that number 52 is to their left right now.
Exactly. Another good point. Don't run this play out, man.
We usually don't throw screens that way either, unless you want to get them intercepted for 96 or something like that. But I'm glad you brought that up, Keith, because that's I worked at Texas football camp. I don't know. I don't know Sean Watson from anything, but he was at Texas at the time when I lived in Austin, and he had obviously coached Bridgewater at Louisville, and he talked about Teddy's mechanics, and this is just, I mean, here it is. If you're wondering what you can take from a play like this at the junior high level, whatever level, take that. Look at that. You know, when your quarterbacks look at you, why are you doing all this stuff in pre-practice? That is flawless right there.
Yeah, that's a heck of a throw.
24 actually run back one time. I mean, if it hadn't, 24 could have got in that lane. I mean, this is into the pressure.
Yeah, that's dangerous because this is obviously a backwards pass too. As you see where he catches it, where he throws it. I mean, if he gets a handle and tips this, this ball can go back for 6.
No doubt. But once again, back to the reason that I thought that we'd look at these two plays this week is you know, Pete Carmichael has been there with Peyton forever, and Peyton is obviously one of the best minds, like you said, Zach, in the game. And I don't know, like I said, you got Breeze coming back this week, I guess, and you got Bridgewater. I have watched the Saints a little bit. I heard something preseason talking about how they might just be the best team in football. Hard to argue the point right now. They've certainly done a good job, but I'm sure they'll be, like Keith was saying before we got on the air here, they won't be complaining if Drew Brees comes back.
No, not at all. We'll go to the next play. This one is the blitz from the Saints.
And this is just another extension of, we're on the Saints bandwagon, this week. But once again, one of the reasons that you are successful when you lose the all-time, leading touchdown league thrower in the NFL is that your defense is good too. And so I watched enough of this game right here where they had Trubisky confused and they got after them on defense. And so this is just one example. I mean, there were a lot of them actually, but just looking just off the diagram right here, you can see there's a lot of folks up on the line of scrimmage. They've got all the backers mugged up. And so what they're doing is they wrap 93 for contain to the right-hand side and drop out 53 and 92. Once again, looking for the crossing route that we're always talking about here. And drop out 22 up underneath the curl post over here to the right as we look at it, and bring the heat with 24 and 94 wraps all the way into the far A gap, number 65 for the Bears. Their left guard works to his left first and comes back. He couldn't get back over there. And 94 wraps and gets the sack on Trubisky. 24 comes around contained late. So just well executed. And once again, they got after the Chicago passing game on Sunday. Looks like it's about 3rd and 4 here. Once again, probably should be looking for the crossing routes, according to, this season anyway, as many as we've seen. But you can see even from this angle right here, where 94 wraps and comes back over in the far A gap. That's where the pressure actually comes from. When you get to the end zone copy, you're going to notice that the left guard for Chicago he starts to his left, and then he can't get back over.
This is like the Clemson stuff all over again, where I'm sure the Saints knew what they were getting when they went double A gap. They're going to slide the center one way and put the back in the other A gap. And, this is bring 4 off one side, because they're pretty much, 3-man one side, 3-man the other side, and you're going to get a free hitter.
Well, you look at 53, all right, and once again, the route combinations, where Trubisky never looks to his right. And obviously there was nothing over there he was supposed to be looking at, or I'm going to assume he wants that one guy to be open, and we all know who that is. That's that crossing route that ain't going to be open on this one, right? But if you stop and go back, Zach, please, to the wide copy, it just makes you wonder, like, they have teams so scouted up. I mean, this is where, having coached the tight ends, in the NFL for, 4 or 5 years, you just would want that tight end to turn around and get open, be friendly to the quarterback, right down here, because that's where you've got an opening. But obviously, the Saints have got something on the Bears where all the hot routes and everything that they're trying to get the ball out is over the middle. Even an out route by your tight end, right? I mean, you just don't there needs to be something somewhere else where this ball can come out. And either Trubisky does it, didn't do it, or they didn't have it, one or the other.
Yeah, something I'm seeing a lot, as I'm sure you guys saw last night with the Patriots, is a lot of these season stuff now against young quarterbacks. They are just absolutely bringing heat like crazy, because it's like, I mean, these guys grow up now playing 7-on-7, playing, they're throwing the ball from they're 7 years old. They can find guys in zone coverage, like, if you're going to rush 3 or 4, they're going to find guys open. But man, the more you do stuff like this, and you're bringing 6 guys or 5 guys, and you're bringing from all different places, and you're making them think more about their protections and more about their hots than they are the coverages. That's just great stuff. I mean, these young quarterbacks are being confused a ton right now. I mean,
and Trubisky's exactly that. Watching him grow up here in Northeast Ohio, they play. He played for Steve Trevisano and Mentor, and I mean, they are spread, and they've been doing spread a long time, and they start that early with their guys. And that's a guy who, I mean, if you give him time, he's going to pick you apart, because he's done it his whole life. But yeah, this is pretty tough here, and I agree, Charlie. Like, you see it right there. It kind of makes you wonder where his eyes, because that's available. But then again, you have everybody coming from that side, which kind of flushes him back over to the other side.
As Darnold said last night, he's seeing ghosts. I mean,
he saw a couple.
Yeah,
Go to the end zone copy for a second, Zach. And the other thing is, freeze it right there. Once again, we're looking at another defense. Now, this is, it's not 3rd and 9, guys. It's 3rd and 4. We got one guy with his hand in the dirt. I mean, that's the thing that's – now you go, okay, the difference in Clemson and this is some of these cats on 2-point, you looked at the Clemson deal, okay, no doubt, one of the best athletic defenses in the country, but they were 240. Now this, some of these cats are about 290 and they're playing in a 2-point stance, and that's just the NFL for you. And by the time I left the Buffalo Bills, it's been 10 years now, and I'm sure they're still doing it. Sean Kugler, who is now at the Cardinals and been a couple, Broncos, a little bit of everywhere, Steelers. We were identifying our protection by numbers, and you couldn't do it really in college because you had so many numbers. But we knew the roster so well and the defensive personnel so well for the Saints that we would actually point out who were, who was big and who was not, if they came out and everybody was standing right here. And so I've got to believe that some of that is still going on, because you can't really treat anybody here like they're a linebacker, or anybody here like they're, there may be 1-3 technique out there, but the rest of it is a deal where you better protect people. And like Harry Eastad's once again, he's coached a bunch of football games too, and he's a better offensive line coach than a lot of them, and they get him on this one.
Yeah, exactly. That's something interesting to bring up there, Charlie. With identifying 4 down, plus I'm like based off numbers. The Patriots do a lot of that, what they call the amoeba defense, where everybody just kind of scatters around and stands up right there around the line. And I've always seen where the Patriots protect that as like you were saying, they just identify, hey, we're going to identify 4, the 4 down, the mic, then the running back's going to scan the rest of them. And looks like here they're treating this as just like a typical double A gap, and this is something that the Vikings do a ton of too. Show 4 guys on each side of the line, and bring 4 from one side and bring 1 from the other.
Well, that would be hard to do in any high school or even college, just because you got more numbers and everything. But yeah, I think that's probably what's going on a lot in the NFL these days. If not, I don't know how you find a Mike backer in that defense. Let's put it that way.
Exactly.
As looking at the formation too, we've talked a lot about compressed formations this year, and that does become one of the issues. Though, is 24. It's easy for him to disguise that he's coming, right? He looks like he's lined up, going to play man right on that tight end, and then he's coming on the snap. You spread guys out, you're not going to get that guy coming from that distance, right? So,
right.
Hey, it's about who gets that chalk last.
No doubt, and because you sit right here on the Bears are, they're wishing they'd have handed the zone to the left off here, right?
Yep.
Might still be running. So yeah, some of it is tendencies, and so I'm sure that whoever they're playing this week, both teams are looking at it.
Well, guys, another great week here, 4 interesting plays, and as we continue through the season, we're going to continue to look for some interesting things we can coach from. And again, the whole idea is to be able to understand all the things that you can do a little bit more. And Charlie, you've put together a tremendous resource for coaches in FirstDown PlayBook. Tell our viewers a little bit more about what you're doing there.
Right, Keith. What we try to do FirstDown PlayBook is just we've got a draw and edit tool that makes it very easy to get your diagrams to your kids. And visual learners are what football players and football coaches are, and that's what we provide. And so the more ways you can teach, as the face of our company, Mike Singletary, says, if you can teach them with diagrams and with video and walkthroughs, the more ways you can teach them, the better off they're going to be. And so if you're interested in looking at what we do, just go to FirstDownPlaybook.com. And if you want to come and look at some of our blogs each
and follow us on our Trends Day podcast. We do every Wednesday. We talk more about some of these plays and other plays, different trends we're seeing around every level of football, from high school all the way through the NFL. So check that out on Wednesdays. Follow Zach's writing on blogs.usafootball.com. He puts some analysis articles up every single week, and I know I have an analysis article on Wake Forest going up this week as well. So check those out again, blogs.usafootball.com. Guys, thanks again for your time, and I look forward to another week of football.
Thanks, Keith. See you next week.